this is Adrian Alex Poe, and we are going to continue to learn how to format a screenplay correctly. In this video, we're going to focus on narrative description, also called action description. So let's get started. Where you place it on the page is 1.5 inch to 7.5 inches, basically 15 spaces from the left edge of the page. This is if you have a Word program and you have to physically type in the correct spacing and margins, but if you have just a screenplay writing program, then the spacing and margin is already set. Now, what is narrative? I looked up the definition, and it's a spoken or written account of connected events, a story. So basically, you're just describing what is happening in the scene, but you're doing it visually. So the narrative description of the events of a scene, it describes the story, action, setting, characters, and sounds. Always written in present tense, even in flashbacks. And I need to let you know, never ever use the word I. Never used first person. That's the number one rookie mistake. Any agent that is reading your script sees I, instantly they will throw your screenplay in the trash and move on to the next screenplay. So always write it in present tense, or also no past tense, and never use I. Limit your paragraphs to a maximum of 4 lines, not sentences, but lines. You could use 3. 3 is fine, but no more than 4 lines because of the spacing and the the font, the font lettering, all that. You have that 1 minute per page. So if you do 5 lines, then it's going to break up that 1 minute per page. And also another reason not to do that is if an agent is reading your screenplay and then he turns to a page and he sees like a block of nothing but 5 line paragraphs, and he's going to look at it and be like, oh my God, what is all this I have to read? This is too much. And he's going to get bored or tired after like the 14th screenplay and you're the 15th, and he sees all that reading he has to do. He's going to be like, skip. And he's going to go to a screenplay that, just has, either 3 lines or 4 lines. What I use is 4 lines. When I max out at 4 and I have to continue writing, I just, space and start a whole new paragraph, So that's what I recommend. And again, never use the word I. Here's some examples of just the narrative description. So starting at the top, exteriors or outside a famous movie studio day. So hustle and bustle everywhere. So that's giving you a mental picture that it's pretty busy. People, he doesn't have to say like, all this other stuff. It's just simple, to the point. It's very busy, crowded people walking around. You get a mental picture of what could be going on. So extras in costume coming and going. Cars line up at the studio gate, awaiting entrance. Now let's get to this one. Interior Frank's house, living room day. Empty beer bottles, half-eaten pizza slices, and cigarette butts litter the floor. So you get a mental picture that maybe they had a rough night. Maybe they had a party the night before. They're waking up. It's the hangover. He's a messy guy. The maid didn't show up. Who knows? Let's see. Interior coffee shop morning. A normal Denny's. So there you go. You know where it is. It's a Denny's, breakfast place. Spire or Spear-like coffee shop in Los Angeles. It's about 9 in the morning. Okay. He could have just, I don't know why he mentioned that unless it's integral to the story later, but it's okay. While the place isn't jammed, there's a healthy number of people drinking coffee, munching on bacon, and eating eggs. So you get the idea. Denny's, they're eating breakfast. It's in the morning. It's not totally packed or crowded, but there's a good amount of people there. It's busy, but not, over busy. Let's see, interior office day. Rufus sits at the desk, furiously tap dancing on a keyboard. Now that's pretty cool. That's really giving you like a clever description of him just typing. He's just typing. That's all. He could have just said Rufus sits at his desk typing. But no, he said fingers furiously tap dance on a keyboard. That's pretty cool. So, and finally, exterior writer's store. In the heart of the West Los Angeles, a boutique shop's large open sign glows like a beacon. So he's describing the sign of the store. So that's pretty cool. Also, he mentioned writers browse the many scripts in the screenplay section. So very simple, one sentence. He didn't need, all this crazy description. So let's continue. Now what I'm going to do here is give you a couple tips. Normally, since I'm just doing how to format a screenplay, it's just teaching you how to follow the correct structure, and you can't really deviate from that structure. Because we're not getting into the videos yet of, creative writing or creative tips, but I'm going to throw this in here since it has to do with writing narrative and action description, all that. So this is something I do, and I suggest you could try it or do it yourself. So when you're writing narrative descriptions, like I said, it's just what the camera sees. So tip number 1, describe visually in one sentence or less the scene location before describing the action and narrative. So basically what I said is, before writing what is going on in the scene, like whatever the characters are doing, take a little bit of time, maybe a sentence or less, or depending on how clever or creative you are. Write describe the scene a little bit. So, for example, I wrote these ones I came up with on the spot, so if they might really not be that good, because I didn't spend too much time thinking about them and just whatever I could think of to give you the basic idea, because I didn't want to get in too deep with the creative aspect yet. So the first one is interior John's bedroom day. So we're inside John's bedroom. Now, instead of just saying what John is doing in the bedroom, I took time, to write a sentence about describing the bedroom. So, a dirty clothes hamper exploded in a greasy mechanic shop. So it's letting you know that it's a very dirty room, and maybe this guy is like a motorhead, a gearhead. He's into cars. Maybe he works as a mechanic. Maybe that's his job. He's not a clean guy. He doesn't have time to spend cleaning his room. He doesn't really care. So I guess a little mini tip when, that you can connect to the first tip is when you use that sentence or that phrase to describe the location of the scene, also describe the location of the scene that is kind of connecting it to the character. So see how I described how the room looked, but based on how the room looked, it's giving you an idea of the type of character we are going to be introduced or we're going to be following in the story. That's a pretty cool tip. Some other and then see, I made it in different colors. So I gave the sentence of a dirty clothes hamper exploded in a greasy mechanic shop. And then I talk about what the character does, what he does what he's doing. John sits on the bed, screwdriver in hand, disassembling a classic engine. You could be more specific and be like, he's taking apart a carburetor. Could do that, So tip number 2, and then we'll come back to the examples. Tip number 2, write lean and keep it tight. Don't over describe. Don't put too many words. Be super visually descriptive with as little words as possible. Use your thesaurus. This is where it's going to come in handy to pull out your thesaurus and look up a bunch of synonyms and just, you're describing a scene, but instead of prolonging and making it really long and adding too many, synonyms or descriptive words, just pick the right synonym or the right word that describes basically the whole scene. And like I said, I don't want to get into, too deep with descriptive concept of writing. That's a whole different video. I'm just giving you the basics. And so let's look at the second example. So interior Kelly's bedroom night. So you're in Kelly's room. So I'm describing what the room looks like, therefore giving you an idea of what type of character Kelly is, what type of personality she has. So the only thing not covered in pink is Kelly and her 5 girlfriends. So I'm giving you the idea that this girl is a very, high maintenance or very girly girl. She's a very girly girl. I mean, how can I describe it? So, and then I go to what's going on in the scene. They are in the middle of a slumber party. And then I could further describe what they're doing, like, in the corner they're doing each other's nails. They're having a makeup contest. They're, arguing or whatever. That's the description of what is happening in the scene. But I gave you a little insight of what type of girl Kelly is just based on what I described in her room. And the final example I threw in there, interior living room. So we're in someone's living room. Overflowing landfill. So instantly that gives you a mental picture that this guy is probably a hoarder. He's like a disgusting human being. Maybe the story is about a hoarder. Maybe you connect to the scene and then you think of a person that you know or a friend of your mom's that she knows that is exactly like what is described in the scene. Or maybe you watched a TV show, that TV show Hoarders, and that you instantly have a mental picture based on 2 words, overflowing landfill. And you're like, oh yeah, it's like that guy I saw on TV, on that TV show. And then I go and describe like Bob sits perched upon a small hill of decomposing garbage, eating a sandwich. So I could have just said, yeah, he's sitting there eating a sandwich. But I tell you, he sits perched like a bird upon a small hill. So it's not a mountain because he doesn't live in like a mansion. It's a small hill of decomposing garbage. I could have just said trash or random trash, random items. But it's decomposing, implying that he's been there for years. And he's allowing garbage to decompose because, and now you're interested in the character. Like, wow, this guy really has some crazy personality. I gotta read more. Here's the best example. I didn't put it in here, but the best example that I learned from is when I read the screenplay of Rocky. And Sylvester Stallone, he wrote that, screenplay, parts of it. And when Rocky like first goes into like Mickey's gym, like as he walks in, Sylvester Stallone is describing the gym. So instead of like going through this long, 4 line paragraphs, a whole page of describing like the disgusting smell and the people, no, he says like one phrase. He says, it's like an overturned trash can. That's it. He described the entire gym by saying it's an overturned trash can. That instantly gives you a mental picture of how disgusting, how smelly, how slimy, like that gym must be. So, take these 2 tips and we'll elaborate on them in a different video. Let's talk about what not to do when writing action descriptions or narrative descriptions. It's only what you see, what the audience can see or the reader can see in the movie. whatever, so never ever write memories, thoughts, and realizations, because they cannot visually appear on the movie screen unless you describe actions, facial expressions, or gestures that suggest them. Like, so don't be like, in the scene, John remembers when he was a kid. What? How can you see that? Unless you physically write, flashback or memory montage, a memory montage. You could have a montage of him, remembering playing in the backyard with his dad or whatever. Or so no memories, no thoughts or realizations. Like, how can you like show that he has an idea unless you physically write his facial expression, like a ta-da moment. Like, how can you put that on paper? So, and don't, you could say like, he frowns. Okay, that's fine. You can say, he tears up, meaning he's sad, or he's sad, just right, he's sad. Or he turns green with envy. That's pretty good of describing what's going on, because you physically can see or imagine in your brain, you get a mental picture of him feeling envy because he's green. Or, his eyes droop, he becomes peaked and his skin is pale, he looks sick. That's describing physically what he looks like. So, here's some examples. These are not really good examples, but I just put some more of. None of these have any memories or thoughts or realizations. They're just regular what the camera sees. So you can pause and read them, but I couldn't really find, obviously, examples of what not to do, because screenplay writers don't do that. So I couldn't find a screenplay that shows, memories and realizations and stuff like that. So, you can pause and read it and give you some more idea of just what the camera sees. So there you have it, guys. Hope this helped with your story writing. So when you write screenplays, you can focus on the story, because that's my motto, where story comes first, and I hope it comes first to you too. Please like, share this video, comment down below, hit me up on Facebook and Twitter. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell, because there's a lot more videos coming out.